I wouldn't use Lady Gaga's interpretation of the Bible as my, like, primary source.
Flight 815 crash landed, but where there's weird jungle noises and a polar bear. What the fuck is going on over there? Helen
and Alex
will guide you through. If you've seen Lost 20 times,
or if you're brand new,
welcome to our show. It's
Dharma Fish Biscuits. Hello and welcome to Dharma Fish Biscuits, your new favourite Lost podcast.
We're your hosts, Helen and Alex. We're going episode by episode, spoiler-free, bringing you all the hot takes no one ever asked for.
You can find us on Instagram at Dharma Fish Biscuits Pod. There's all sorts of visual delights for you there. You can email us on dharmafishbiscuitspod@gmail.com and tell us everything you think. Only good things, though. And also join our Patreon for free at patreon.com/dharmafishbiscuits.
Instead of going beat by beat, we aim to focus our conversation on the character the episode centers around, then we'll circle back to what we missed.
So this week, it's a Charlie episode. Season 1, Episode 7, The Moth. We will start with Charlie's flashbacks. Then we will talk about Charlie on the island. Then we'll talk about our B-plot of the triangulation. And then a couple of little miscellaneous things for the end. Okay, so we open with Charlie talking to a priest. And I personally think this is very funny.
Yes.
I had physical relations with a girl. And after that, I had relations with another girl. And then I watched while they had relations with each other.
It
very
is
good,
funny.
very funny.
It did make me laugh. But he also plays it totally straight and serious. Like, for the character of Charlie, this is actually something that he experiences guilt about. It's not like, oh, I'm just such a cool guy having sex with all these women. He actually has to wrestle with it a little bit afterwards, which I felt like did kind of add a little bit of depth to his character, I suppose. I also felt a little bit like the priest's response. The priest was like, go off, my son. He did not seem at all bothered by that having happened.
Oh, great stuff.
But the priest also goes on to really hit us over the head with the message of the episode. You know, get this in early and often, that life is about choices and it's only a series of choices, and the person we are and the outcomes of our life is all about our own choices. Like, in case anyone doesn't hear this fully, it's going to be repeated and underlined by various different characters throughout this episode, but it comes in right at the jump there.
Yeah. So Charlie decides he's going to quit the band. But then when he leaves, he finds his brother outside wearing a lovely t-shirt that says "Music Slut."
I know, I didn't notice that. That's quite funny. Did you go to the extent of checking whether the actor who plays Liam was actually English? Because I didn't, but he doesn't sound very English.
No, I didn't.
Baby brother, it's a bit of a Manchester accent that sounds a bit like this. And then later, when he lives in Sydney, he sounds a bit more like he's Australian.
I assumed he was, just because I have seen this show so many times. He's just like embedded. It's like when I discovered that James Masters is not English.
Canonically, this man is English, and so I simply accept it.
You're correct. He is from Trenton, New Jersey. Great.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, he does a pretty decent job. Like, it's not terrible, and considering that it's like a regional accent that most Americans wouldn't have much exposure to, he does a pretty good job. But it did clang a little bit.
Oh well.
So he goes out and says Liam. Obviously, a little like nod and a wink there to the Oasis parallels by calling his brother Liam.
Oh God, yeah. How has that never even occurred to me?
I was waiting for you to just like nod knowingly. And then...
No, of all the Oasis parallels throughout Charlie's whole story, I had never picked up on the fact that his brother is called Liam. That's very funny.
Yeah. And also a height difference between these two men that no two human beings of the same genetic background could possibly have. Charlie is so short and Liam is so tall. It's just like, that doesn't happen. I'm sorry. In families. Otherwise, I think they're quite convincing as brothers. They have a nice little rapport. They're quite good at establishing that relationship.
Yeah.
Apart from the way that Liam constantly refers to him as baby brother in a way that like human beings don't do with their siblings.
But I mean, that's all just tying into what this episode is doing all the way through, is it not? Which is just like, he's the baby brother. He's the baby. He can't have any responsibility for himself. And we see that all throughout every one of these flashbacks. So the second flashback is immediately where the first one drops off. They walk outside. Where exactly are they? Because it's like a church, but then also they go through a courtyard and there's just nuns walking around. Is this a normal place to be?
It's a great question. Some kind of church / monastery. I mean, they do their best on Lost with the locations. Famous. No, but I mean, what I was going to say is famously, every location, regardless of whether it's supposed to be LA, Manchester, Hong Kong, whatever, like it's almost all filmed on Hawaii. There's only like one scene in all of Lost that they actually went to another location for.
Yeah.
So they do a pretty good job of making various different buildings and places stand in for other places. And sometimes you've just got to allow a little bit of flexibility in that. Like it's a big old religious building.
Yeah.
Is it a tour that he's agreeing to?
The record.
Oh, they've just got signed.
They've got signed. They've got a recording contract.
And Charlie's like, okay, I'll do this with you on one condition, that if it ever gets too much, we walk away.
Yeah. Well, not even if it gets too much. If Charlie decides they're done. As soon as Charlie says they're done.
Charlie's like, I'm with you, but if I want to be able to pull the emergency brake cord. I'm mixing my metaphors. and then we walk away. And Liam is like so quick and so wild-eyed when he says like, yeah, of course. Yeah, well, yeah. You say the word and we'll walk away. And it's like, okay, well, let's take a minute here, because he clearly didn't mean that. He was just saying what he knew he had to say to get you to agree to do this. Oh, sigh. And then Liam refers to Charlie as a rock god. It's a phrase that will come around a few times in the episode. Charlie either referring to himself or being referred to as a rock god. And I just want, if I can just take this opportunity later on, when Charlie is like the one who's, everyone's agreed that it's okay for him to be the one to go and try and rescue Jack, and he's going to be climbing through the rubble. My partner made this sort of like offhand comment about like, oh, because he's got sort of magical rock powers. And I was like, do you mean because he's a rock god? I just thought that was an incredible like tying together of the two worlds.
That's great. I think that's really the hidden message they were going for all along.
Exactly.
So then we go to their show, and there are red streaks in Charlie's hair just to fully put us in the early 2000s. They come off stage and Charlie is very angry because Liam has been singing his verses. And Liam once again says, chill, baby brother. And I think this is like the start of where it transitions from, oh, Charlie has the power, to now he doesn't. And Liam, like, sort of very patronizing, telling him to chill. And I think that bringing in the baby brother is where here I started to be like, oh, okay, this is like belittling towards Charlie.
Can I just point out that if you listen to the song You All Everybody, there's at least two voices singing the chorus. So I actually don't think that Charlie has any reason to be upset. I think they both sing the chorus, and that's how it always was.
Yeah, you're right. There is definitely multiple voices happening there. So like, why don't you both sing together?
That was literally all I had to say about that thing. The next flashback is when they're with the like groupies, right?
Yeah, well, the end of the first one is when Charlie sees that he's taking heroin. So thus begins the heroin. And yeah, then the next time we go to the groupies. Charlie really giving Jack a run for his money with his Metro neck scarf that now he has a lovely piece of gold metallic fabric.
Yeah. No, the only thing that, I mean, obviously, like, yeah, they have this kind of exchange, and Charlie is increasingly wound up by the way that Liam is using drugs, and he wants to pull his emergency cord, push on the brakes, and say,
"No,
I'm playing my walk away card. Remember how we said that if it ever got too much, we would walk away." And Liam's like, "You can't walk away now, baby brother." He's not that creepy, but like,
yeah, basically. He's really not that creepy. So our final flashback, Liam is grown up and he's sober now. And how do we know he's sober? Because he's wearing glasses and a jumper.
He's got this like lovely middle class suburban lifestyle. He's got a kid. Once again, he has glasses. Like, it couldn't be clearer that he has moved on and grown up and moved away from his rock star lifestyle.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Charlie is there in his jeans and a scruffy hoodie. Oh, wearing what he's wearing on the island. Oh, what does that mean?
Oh my God, I so didn't pick up on that. But obviously, we know that he's gonna end up on the island because at the end of the scene he says, "Oh, I've got a plane to catch," and yes. I'm like, "Whoa, hang on a sec! You came to see your brother in Sydney to tell him about this tour that you were invited to go on. The first gig is in Los Angeles, and you have to leave immediately. Oh, immediately after telling him you have to leave in order to catch the flight." To go to LA to play the gig. I feel like there was not enough wiggle room.
I don't think he was getting the flight to the gig.
That's the only way it makes sense to me, because otherwise, why does he have a plane to catch? Why wouldn't he plan to stay in Sydney for a bit longer?
I would also assume that, like, he doesn't have that specific plane to catch, because that would also be an insane schedule regardless.
Yeah, it's
for
like,
him
okay, so 5:15 arrive at my brother's house, 5:20 leave, having convinced him to come to LA with me. But I think to me that is quite clearly what the plot is supposed to be. I agree that it's completely insane. Wow.
Yeah.
But I mean, to me there was no question in my mind. I was just like, well, this was poorly written.
You know what wasn't poor though? And I know this is really picky.
The name of the band that they're supporting.
Oh, no. What even was it?
Meat Coat. I just loved it.
That's what we should have called our podcast.
Detail. It's just one for the real fans, you know? A deep cut.
No, what I thought was really impressive is the fact that in the extreme close-up of Charlie's sunglasses, not a single reflection of a camera in there. Which I know it's very picky, but I'm always like, can you see the camera in the reflection? No, you can. So that was good.
We like that.
Well done, Lost. You did a good job.
There's also this little moment because Charlie tries to sort of, well, I found their conversation quite sad and moving when he was saying to Liam about how, like, it's only because of you that I ended up as a junkie. You never looked out for me. And in this whole sequence he says, like, it used to be about the music, Liam. And because, like, Dominic Monaghan was also in Lord of the Rings, in my mind I'm just like immediately connect that to, I want to see mountains, Gandalf. It was like the exact same intonation. What did you think about the exchange where he basically blames Liam for him becoming addicted to drugs and for all his problems?
I mean, I think he's not wrong. I also think that it never was about the music for Liam. I think Liam was there for drugs and girls. And then, like, he got sober. Like, he got sober, so he doesn't care about being in the band anymore, because he didn't care about the music. He didn't write the music. The music was a vehicle for him to live this fun life.
That's fair. Right.
Should we go to the island?
Charlie on island.
So we open with him playing his guitar. He is not looking good at all.
Sweaty little man.
He's a very sweaty man.
I don't know if you know this about heroin withdrawal, but it takes about 2 days and it mostly involves you being very sweaty.
For a second, I thought you were about to give us some real medical insight.
No, this is just Lost's version of heroin withdrawal. So he's playing his guitar and then... So I don't know, something, and then he's like,
he sort of goes off trying to find Locke, and then there's a boar chasing him, and there's like this noise, and he's like, Locke, and I'm like, I don't think that's Locke, I think that's a boar.
But I didn't think of that as being like, is that you, Locke? I thought that as more like, there's a boar coming, Locke. Can you come and save me, please?
I see.
But anyway, Locke is using him as bait, so he does not come and save him. He just congratulates him on being very useful bait. I mean, Locke really rubs it in about like, oh yeah, great job being bait. And I'm like, I mean, you don't have to be so transparent about using him as bait.
Yeah, I do have some real conflicting feelings about Locke, because on one hand, like, he is this really, like, he's very wise, he knows what he's doing, I do think he's trying to help Charlie, but also he feels like antagonistically petty at times. And it's hard when he's like, I just say, congratulating him on being bait. is that anything other than antagonistic?
It's also the sort of like the whole thing that you were getting at about how throughout this whole episode, Charlie is receiving these messages about how he's no good for anything, and he's like, people don't want to rely on him for anything, and you know, he's kind of useless. And it's like, oh, so I'm just good for being bait, am I? Is sort of like an early indication of that.
Yeah. So he asked Locke for his drugs, and Locke has instilled this odd system where he says...
He asks Locke for his drugs, and Locke is like, I hear you, but what if I was like Jesus and said, you shall ask me 3 times, and upon the 3rd time...
Wait, is this a Jesus thing?
It's quite biblical, and my
Jesus
my
asked
instinct
3
was...
times.
Okay, look, I've already done the Googling.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Because my instinct was, this is biblical, and then obviously I had to Google it to try and confirm or deny. The Bible refers to asking something 3 times in 2 significant instances. In Matthew 26:44, where Jesus prays for the 3rd time in the Garden of Gethsemane.
X-Files episode.
And in 2 Corinthians 12:8, where the Apostle Paul mentions pleading with the Lord 3 times to have a thorn in the flesh removed. I think a lot of people would make the connection to that this is biblical in some way, even if they don't know like the full details of the reference. But you didn't.
I didn't. I just took it purely as Locke trying to get to what happens at the end of the episode, which is like, by the 3rd time you ask me, you'll have like got over the hump and you'll be ready to commit to your recovery.
I think in a way it was just like, if I'm going to take all the biblical symbolism out of it, I think Locke's intention is just that, like, I will let you make this choice, but I don't want it to be a choice that you make lightly and just like in a moment of weakness because you're suffering from heroin withdrawal. If you really want to get your drugs back, you're going to have to ask on multiple different occasions and like confirm that this is definitely a choice you want to be making. That's it's like, you know, 2-factor authorization.
Yeah, Locke's doing some very old school 2-factor. Sure.
Locke is also keen to really, really hit us over the head with the message of this episode that, like, you know, this is all about Charlie's choice, and he will allow Charlie to make this choice.
It's the only thing that separates you from the boar. Also, I did find it funny when Charlie was like, "I need them," and Locke's like, "And yet you gave them to me."
Funny that.
It's like, yes,
curious.
Yes, you're morally correct, but also being on that moral high horse is not a good look on you, Locke.
Oh, he loves that moral high horse. It's his favourite place to be.
So Jack and Hurley are carrying things to the cave, and Charlie like wants to be helpful, and he's like, "Oh, I used to lug the band's equipment," and it's like,
have I mentioned I'm in a band?
Have I mentioned I'm a rock god? Also, I did love when Jack was like, "Oh, Hurley, come and get some more," and Hurley says, "Oh, could I?"
Yeah, fucking Hurley is brilliant in those bits. But also it made me sad that like Hurley and Charlie are not besties yet in the way that they will be. Like later on when Hurley brings the guitar case to Charlie and is like, "Is this yours?" And Charlie's like, "Oh yeah, you're probably asking because I was the bassist in Drive Shaft, wrote a load of songs on that guitar." And Hurley's like,
"It's in the way."
Jack asked me to move it. And I was just like, oh no, soon they will be like besties, and they would never, like, Hurley would never talk to Charlie like this.
I know. Yeah, it also, like, it starts to get a little heavy-handed and on the nose when, like, Jack's like, "Oh, we don't need you right now." And then Hurley's like, "Well, this guitar's in the way." It's like, okay, yes, we get it. No one likes Charlie.
Yeah, the dialogue with Jack saying, like, "I don't need you right now, Charlie." It's just like, oh, okay, so you're just going to say whatever would best serve the interests of the underlying message of this episode then, are you? Okay, whatever. Yeah. It's a shame when we get moments like that clang, because oftentimes it's quite neatly and subtly sort of woven together, but not this time.
But anyway, Charlie goes to confront Jack inside the cave, and suddenly the rocks all collapse. And I don't understand anything about the logistics of how this happened, because they seem to be in like quite a sturdy like stone cave that is like quite neatly there, and then suddenly there's like tiny little rocks all over, like burying them in.
Caves famously are not structures made of rocks. That it's like a natural erosion process. I think, it's stupid, but let's not waste too much time thinking about it.
But also,
the good thing is Michael checked out the rest of the caves and they're all structurally sound, so thank God.
That's great. Great to know. Yeah, so Charlie runs to the beach and gets Michael and Boone and some unnamed extras. And it's like, we need help. Jack's trapped in a cave. And who else do they find, Helen? Welcome to our favorite extras.
Scott and Steve.
Which one is Scott and which one is Steve? You say you know the difference, I don't believe you. Which one is Steve and which one is Scott? You say you know the difference, no you do not.
When Hurley tells them to go to the beach and find people, he's like, make sure you tell Kate. Because Hurley has identified who the two main characters of this television show are.
And Hurley's like, they've been flirting a lot lately, so it's really important that she knows about this.
But yeah, Charlie's like, where's Kate? Where's Kate? And Sawyer just casually saying she's off with Mohammed. I hate it. Don't wish to dwell on that.
This was a really bad episode for Sawyer.
Oh, I've got a lot to say on Sawyer, and I actually quite enjoyed it, but we'll get to it when we get to our triangulation B-plot.
Okay.
Because, yeah, Sawyer's like, fine, I'll go find them, and I'll go tell her.
Yeah, and once again, it's very much like, I would never normally behave like this, but in order to underline one of the key messages of the episode, I'll tell you, I'll go and find them, you just get back to doing whatever it is you do, because you're Charlie, and you're pointless and useless.
Yes. So yes, everyone gets back to the caves, along with our main character, Vincent.
Who's a good protagonist? He's got a tail and he's wagging it. Don't try to deny the significance of the second character we meet, Vincent.
So this is when Michael assesses the caves. I don't think you can really tell what is a load-bearing wall in a cave, but I'm not a construction worker. By looking at it, so what do I know?
It is quite funny, the whole thing with Michael. It's like we have so little background information on Michael at the moment that it feels like the writers were just like, someone has a background in construction and that someone is waving their finger over the top of the piece of paper and then letting it fall on Michael. Like, okay.
Anyway, Charlie goes off and he finds Locke. Locke is skinning the boar, and it is disgusting. And it's not going to be a full segment, so don't worry, but you can play the jingle anyway. But this is reminiscent of Yellow Jackets.
Alex talks about Yellow Jackets, a show I've never seen.
Because in Yellow Jackets, they have to kill things, including people, and there are many shots of Shauna, Sophie Nélisse, with a knife, cutting some skin off animals, cutting people up. So anyway, then Locke finally goes into his big metaphor and we get the title of the episode. It all comes tied together nicely, where he talks to him about the moth. And oh, look, there's a cocoon. There's a moth inside that cocoon. Oh, I guess I could cut open the cocoon and help the moth out, give it a little hole to come out through, but then the moth would be too weak to survive.
Do you get it, Charlie? Do you get how you're like the moth and I could make things easier for you, but then you wouldn't have the emotional and mental strength to overcome challenges?
The struggle is nature's way of strengthening you.
I mean, I don't hate the metaphor, and it's very memorable. Like, there's, when it comes to looking at the episode titles of various episodes, some of them will like trigger my memory in a way that other ones won't. And when I look at the moth, I'm like, oh yeah, Charlie drugs. Like, it all immediately sort of falls into place. So it obviously works to that extent. And Terry O'Quinn always gives such a beautiful performance that he can pretty much sell almost anything as Locke and make it work.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of why this scene kind of does work, even though it is very heavy-handed and like a bit on the nose.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it would feel more satisfying, I guess, if the metaphor was somehow tied into the story a bit more, instead of just having Locke be like, look over here. There's a moth. This moth is a metaphor for you.
And of course, we're going to get the return of the metaphor in the cave later on when Charlie and Jack are in the cave, and then Charlie's like, "Oh, look, a moth!" And it's by following the moth that he can find the source of the light and their way out, and they escape and blah blah blah. To me, moth-wise, that was just like one moth too many. I feel like because that moth doesn't even fit with the original moth metaphor. It's like they just wanted to have something be in the cave to like indicate that here's a potential escape route, and like, oh, we'll use a moth because we're already big on moths.
Yeah, I think you're right. And maybe they're like mixing metaphors up, because I guess it's like Charlie is thinking of the moth that Locke told him about and is like, oh, if I follow that moth, it'll help get us out of this cave, but also it'll help lead me to my emerging from my drug cocoon.
Yeah, I just think it's mixed moth metaphors. And I understand why they did it for a sort of like sense of it feeling kind of neat and tidy, but I'm against it personally.
So yeah, they decide they have to get someone to go in to rescue Jack. They make a small tunnel. They're like, oh, we've got a tunnel, but someone needs to go in. And then Hurley's like, go in there.
How on earth did they make a full tunnel?
Helen,
a channel connecting them to where Jack is without anyone being able to reach inside. It doesn't make any sense.
The logistics of every single part of this cave-in make no sense. Like,
okay.
How did the cave-in happen in the first hand and there's rubble? How was Charlie outside of the cave while Jack was inside of the cave? They were both standing together.
It's probably because the island wanted it to happen. That's just a callback to when we talked about Charlie being in the wrong part of the plane.
Yeah, Hurley's like, someone go in there, and Boone says, I think he means someone smaller. True, but unnecessary.
Oh, wow. I genuinely didn't pick up on that. Wow, Boone.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then Jin says something, and Hurley's like, dude, we don't understand Chinese. And I'm like, oh, this is not the first time that Hurley has referred to them as Chinese. And
yes, but finally Michael is the one to put a stop to this completely unacceptable behaviour.
Michael says,
by Hurley.
They're Korean.
But I think we can probably assume that what Jin was saying is like, my fucking wife is not going in there because she's clearly the smallest of all of them.
Keep your hands off my wife. Which is surprising. You think Jin would be like, oi, son, can we help? No, famously, they don't want to help each other.
He actually wouldn't. It's amazing that he's there at all.
They're there because they're living at the caves.
Yeah,
they're not there to help. They're there to live.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it could have, if it was like season 1, episode 1 Jin, he would have been like, no, let them sort out their cave in on their own. We don't need to be involved in their business.
Anyway, Charlie comes
growing.
in. He's growing. You know who else is growing is Charlie, because he comes, and after everyone has been like, you're useless, you're not good for anything, he's like, well, since I'm here alone and nobody likes me, and you've got a son and you've got a wife and you've got a sister, and I'm just little old Charlie with nothing to lose, I guess I'm going in after Jack.
I'll take this suicide mission. Yeah. He's and also he's small, which, I mean, maybe it's for the best that no one makes a point of pointing that out, but he is, out of all the people on the island, one of the smaller and slimmer ones.
Hobbits are famously small. But then, oh no, what happens? There's another cave-in. But it's okay. Yeah. Charlie was inside this time.
He just scrabbles along really quickly and makes it to the other side, just like would happen in real life.
Yeah. Kate finally gets there, and she's like, is he alive? And Michael says they don't know, and she's like, why is no one trying to help him? And starts pulling away these tiny bits of rock all by herself.
Yeah, because at this point, everyone's a little bit like, oh, yikes, 1 cave-in, you can survive, but 2 cave-ins, oh, this is a bit like, this isn't looking good. And I think they're sort of having a bit of a moment of like recalibrating, or like not really sure what to do in the wake of this second cave-in. Although I guess what has caved in is like the tunnel that they carved out, not the
I guess so, which in itself they're then going to be like, well, what's the point of making it? We tried making a tunnel, it caved in. What do you want us to do? Make another tunnel?
Kate works like a demon, moving the rocks out of the way, and like fully will not let anyone else contribute. She's just like, that's my man in there. I better move these rocks.
Yeah. Inside the cave, Charlie pulls a boulder off Jack, and I don't understand. Once again, none of this makes any sense. He pulls a boulder off his leg, but then has to relocate his shoulder. And I'm like, those are two different parts of your body. I don't understand
he's had rocks fall on his shoulder as well.
Jack finally realizes that Charlie is in withdrawal, and this really pissed me off earlier when Charlie was like, when they're bringing the bags over and he's like scouting through the drugs. Jack's just like, oh, are you okay? You look like you need something to drink. And I don't know whether he didn't realize he was in withdrawal or if it took him some time to piece it all together or if he was just like being kind and patient and not calling him out.
Jack's comments in that scene don't make sense at all, really, because he sort of says, oh, what are you doing? He sees that Charlie's looking through the drugs and goes, oh, what are you doing? Charlie says, I have a headache. I was looking for some aspirin. And Jack's like, this is fucking whatever it is.
Diazepam.
This is diazepam. It's for anxiety attacks or whatever. Pretty strong stuff for a headache. And it's like, yeah, but he was looking. I mean, he wasn't, but let's say he was looking for aspirin. That you can't like already know what's on the bottles before you've looked at them. Like, this is just an unreasonable comment to be making. Anyway.
Yeah. Play that jingle.
If Jack has no haters, I'm dead.
Yeah, so then finally, Jack tells Charlie that he's not useless. And it's all very nice and very sweet. And quite labored.
I mean, but Jack's way of talking to Charlie about his addiction, of course, is like through the prism of Jack. It's, why didn't you come to me about this earlier? Why didn't you tell me? I could have helped you through this. It's like, sure, Jack, because it's really all about you, isn't it? Like anyone's personal problems.
I mean, I will say Jack is a doctor, so maybe might have like some insight as to what would be good and helpful for Charlie in withdrawal, as opposed to John, you can ask me 3 times for your drugs lock.
Yeah, but I still stand by the fact that I think most people, if they like open up to you about something that's really hard and like vulnerable and difficult, the first response wouldn't be, well, why didn't you tell me about this earlier?
Yeah, I guess
I would have been the best person to tell. Anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, Jack. Love lost.
I know. Anyway, their oxygen is running out soon. They don't have long left. But then Charlie sees a moth. And he follows it to make a hole. And I promise this is the last time we will talk about the nonsensical logistics of this cave-in. So they're on like the ground. They've walked into this cave. The cave has collapsed. Somehow they like claw their way up and they come from underground somewhere in the jungle.
This is rough stuff. I have no answer for you. I honestly didn't let it bother me that much when I was watching it. But now that you ask, I'm like, I have no explanation for that.
It really
doesn't
bothered
work
me and
at
I
all.
hate it. Now, the good news is they make their way out. They do their impression of Buffy in the season 6 finale, climb out through the dirt.
Yeah, then there's this really funny bit where Walt is like, hey, there's the doctor.
I did write this down. Keeping Jack humble. How does it feel to be on the other side, Jack? People refusing to know your name.
Oh, I didn't think of it like that. I just thought it was quite funny because like Kate is working herself to death trying to like get these rocks out to save Jack's life, and Walt's just like, "Hey guys, that's the guy we're all looking for, right?"
From behind. Yeah. Also, they look remarkably clean compared to how they were like 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, it took a minute in the jungle to get a bit of a wet leaf and just clean yourself up a bit, you know.
Yeah. So then we get a flash to later that night. They're sat round a campfire. Hurley tells Charlie he looks really rough, but Jack covers for him and says he's got the flu, so that's nice.
Oh, you missed the bit Jack. where they're like, everyone's like happy that Jack and Charlie are back, and then someone asks Jack like, oh, how did you do it? And Jack goes, it was all Charlie. He saved us. He got us out of there.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Emotional payoff moment for Charlie after all his like repeated instances.
Good job,
people not
Charlie.
Valuing him.
Charlie. Yes, then Jack's covering for him with Hurley, says he's got the flu. Certainly not withdrawing from drugs here. Charlie wanders out and finds Locke brushing the boar with a leaf.
Sure, keeping the flies away.
So Charlie asks Locke for the 3rd time. Locke gives him the drugs. And, what's he gonna do? Well, he's had his moment of redemption now. So he throws them in the fire.
He throws them in the fire, and I'm like, oh, I hope everyone has a nice time breathing those heroin fumes. Time to triangulate.
Yeah, should we go to some B plots? Oh, wait, we forgot the final thing that happens. The moth flies away.
He's like, My purpose as a metaphor has been served.
More terrible CGI. We open up the episode with Jack and Kate, and Jack is just looking at Kate's mugshot, just staring at it.
Gazing lovingly. And Kate rightly pulls him up on this and is like, I have better photos than that and smaller ones if you want to put it in your wallet.
Yeah. She says that she's going to try and help Saeed, and Jack tells her that he doesn't understand why she won't come to the caves. Like, let her live. Let her be her own person.
He's like, all I want in this island is my own little pretend nuclear family with a wife. Like, why can you not give that to me?
Yeah.
While Jack and Kate are talking, Sawyer comes along and is like, I'll be taking over this sweet shack with the like little curtains and stuff that Jack has put up, I suppose. You know, I'd never thought about it until this episode, but like, it really does seem like Jack is living in the sort of first class suite of the island with this little structure, and he's got shelter and he's got storage, while other people are just fully like camping on the beach.
I mean, to be fair, we haven't actually seen that many shots of like where people are living and where they're sleeping and like.
No, it's true. But it occurred to me because obviously as soon as Jack is planning to move out, Sawyer's like, I'll have that. And I was like, yeah. Yes, it does seem like Jack has the best place. Anyway, they're having this little conversation where it's like you said that Jack asked Kate, "Why won't you move to the caves? Be my wife." And Jack's like, "I've been playing Fuck, Marry, Kill mentally, and you come out marry every time." Sorry, I will get to my point eventually. When Kate says, you know, we've only been here 8 days, I'm not ready to like set up a home or whatever. And Jack goes, I wish I shared your faith. And I was like, oh, you mean like if there was a man of science and a man of faith, you would be the man of science?
Curious.
And of course, that's when Sawyer comes in and is like, oh, I've got Starlight to share something with her as well. And it's like, that wasn't even an innuendo. You just were like, whatever they're saying, I will turn it into an innuendo. By God. And it didn't really land. But this, they're pushing quite hard on this, like, Kate, Sawyer, Jack love triangle now. And that's just going to be what we have to live with for the rest of our lives, basically.
So anyway, Kate then goes to see Saeed. Saeed is telling her and Boone about his plans for the antenna and what their plot is. And, oh, Helen... There are 3 of them.
I mean, I just didn't want to scoot over the bit where you're like, Saeed is telling them what the B plot for this episode will be. It's like, so we're the second tier of characters, so we're going to be doing this triangulation.
Congratulations, thing. Boone, you've been promoted to second tier. Commiserations, Kate, you've been demoted.
I know, I thought it was kind of interesting that like out of all the various candidates on the island that like Boone has stepped up to be at the same kind of level as Kate and Saeed, even though he's made some quite questionable decisions up until now. Now we have to fuck, marry, and kill.
Yeah, now there are 3 of them on the screen.
3 characters in a scene. You know what that means. It's time for fuck, marry, or kill. Fuck, marry, or kill.
Boone, Saeed, Kate, where are you landing? This is probably the easiest one we've done for me.
No, it's the hardest one. I think you and I have like an opposite approach to fuck, marry, kill. Because in my mind, I'm like, these are all 3 candidates who have something to offer. Like the easiest ones is where it's like, oh, there's someone I really don't like who I can kill, and there's someone who's really fit who I can shag, and then there's another one who I like who can marry. But like this time I'm like, I like all of okay, I don't like Boone that much. but I don't want to kill him. I guess I have to kill him because the other 2 are such strong candidates. Although I guess I could shag him. Okay, what are you thinking?
Fuck Boone all day long, purely looks wise. We're gonna marry Saeed, because I would say that Saeed is actually the most Connor-adjacent person on the island in terms of being very practical, very technologically focused, but he can make a plan, he can see a plan through, he's thinking strategy, great person to marry. So, which unfortunately does leave Kate in the kill pile.
This is rough. This is the first time Kate's gotten
She's merely
killed.
a victim of circumstance, I'm afraid.
But I do think it's very sweet that you pick Saeed because he's the closest to Connor.
Yeah.
Okay. I have to marry Saeed. Saeed is like fully the most marriageable. Like out of anyone on the island, he's the one that I'm most wanting to marry. For all the reasons you gave and more. He's just like a cool guy. The question is, should the willingness to fuck be prioritized higher than the unwillingness to kill? Because I would probably prefer to have sex with Boone, but I would also prefer not to kill Kate. I have to kill Boone, right? Like, I can't kill Kate. That would go against everything I believe in.
I mean, it's between you and your god. Fuck, marry, kill is a very personal game, Helen.
It's between me and Jesus Locke.
I'll ask you 3 times. Who are you killing?
I think I will kill Boone, but it wasn't an easy decision.
Oh, well, there's no consolation to him. He's dead.
We're halfway through the podcast. We talk a lot, we know. Why not take this time to write a review? It helps more people find the show. Or pop us a little email, or simply tell a friend. We're gonna need some listeners if we're to make it from the pilot to the end.
Okay, so the plan is they're going to triangulate the French signal, find out where it's coming from so that they can turn it off and put their own signal out, I guess.
Yeah, they're going to triangulate and find out where the signal is coming from so that... Question mark?
Yeah, now that I'm
It's
actually saying that out loud, I'm like, is the plan for them to put their own signal out? Because, like, if no one's heard that signal, then what makes you think they will hear your signal instead?
Well, now you're sounding like Jack.
I'm so sorry. Anyway, that's their plan. They've each got an antenna. They'll turn them on at the same time, and they will communicate with fireworks. Because, of course, why wouldn't someone have brought fireworks onto a plane? And
yeah, Saeed's little throwaway comment of like, thank God for fireworks smugglers.
What?
And it was like, yeah, that is very convenient.
Also, is
isn't
that
it?
a thing?
It's strange that there was only 3 of them, though. You'd think a smuggler would be working at slightly
Well,
higher
to be fair, we
volumes.
don't know that they've only got 3. He's using 3 for his purposes. Maybe he's got a whole stash.
No, because I know Saeed, and if there was more than 3, he would have given each of them at least 1 spare in case the first one didn't work. That's my Saeed.
I have just Googled, do people smuggle fireworks? And would you like to guess what the top result is?
Do people smuggle fireworks? Lost season 1, episode 7.
The top result is r/lost. The writers are trying to convince me there were fireworks smugglers on international flights in 2004. Anyway, so that's great.
Whatever. I'm sure people smuggle fireworks. I don't care. Like, there's so much stuff that either has already been established to be on this plane or will later be established to be on this plane that, like, shouldn't be there. So I don't care.
So unfortunately, this antenna plan is hairy because they need some power. So Kate goes to Sawyer and gets a laptop battery for some power.
I really hope that you noticed the same thing that I noticed in the scene because it's given me so much joy. And I was just like, I watched it twice and both times I was like, please let Alex have picked up on this as well.
You'll have to be more specific about what I've picked up.
Okay. I'll do like a dramatic reenactment. You'll be able to tell when I'm doing which character from my amazing acting skills. It must be exhausting. What's that? Living like a parasite. Always taking, never giving. Well, you got me pegged, don't you? It's a line about pegging.
I hate to tell you, I did not pick up on that whatsoever.
Always taking, never giving. Well, you got me pegged. And I was like, I mean, the cultural references being like light years ahead of their time. I'm so impressed, and I was so like astounded and delighted to find this. Oh, what a joy.
That is incredible.
I also have to share with you So obviously, like, they have this conversation. They have a little negotiation back and forth, and ultimately Kate gets a laptop battery off of Sawyer. At the end of this little scene, my partner, who's watching Lost for the first time, made this incredible comment about Sawyer. He must be in sales or something. I was like, keep that in your mind as we go forward, because that's an amazing take on Sawyer.
Very astute.
Incredible. In a way, he is in sales.
In a way. More on that next week. Here's where my notes on Sawyer being quite interesting start. Because he's got this reputation by now of being a dickhead and he's hoarding things and whatnot. And I'm like, is he actually a bad guy? Because everything we've seen, I think, for the most part, he does still give people what they need on the island. Sometimes he will make a comment. Sometimes he will be racist. Sometimes he will, like, make it a challenge and make them have to go through hoops to get it. But I don't think we've actually seen him up to this point be like, no, fuck off, it's mine.
Yeah, I think he's playing this little game where he's like, I have all the stuff, you have to come and ask me for it, and the price you pay is I'm going to make a little joke at your expense.
Like, he's there to have fun.
Like, it's quite a reasonable system. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. He hasn't really done anything, like, actively detrimental to the well-being or survival of the group.
Exactly.
Or, like, really done anything that involves... I mean, I think... You know, he sees the value in being the one who has the stuff, knowing that it will give him, like, bargaining chips for the future.
Which it does.
Which it does. But, like, yeah, he hasn't really, like, abused that power as yet. I agree.
Okay, so Boone is staying on the beach to set off his firework and turn the antenna on the beach. Kate and Saeed go into the jungle to go and set up 2 more. They have a very interesting conversation where Saeed tells Kate that, basically, I've been listening to Connor's Corner on Dharma Fish Biscuits, and I think it's actually impossible for us to have survived this plane crash.
Oh, yeah. Okay, this is so... Thank God that you said that, because I had written down, Saeed is Connor pilled, but I had not written, like, any reference to what that was about, and I was like, huh? But no, yeah, it's like Saeed has listened to Connor's Corner. He's like, yeah, we would actually all be a paste. So what the hell?
I think, and also this obviously is contributing to the same thing we've talked about in the past of there was this big, like, mythos at the time of like, oh, maybe they've been dead the whole time. And this is, like, still quite on the nose, but, like, feeding little breadcrumbs to people being like, we wouldn't have survived that.
Are you saying that they're feeding breadcrumbs to encourage people to think, oh, they must have been dead the whole time?
I think so. I think this is... So we talked before about it being a bit too on the nose because Jack says, like, oh, 3 days ago we all died. And I'm like, that's too much. But I think Saeed being like, we're all here. However, I've thought about it and it's impossible for us to be here. We shouldn't be here. That is, like, they're essentially doing the same thing, but I think Saeed's doing it slightly more subtly, and I think it works a bit nicer. I also think that it's probably significant that I'm assuming this will have been written probably before the show started airing, and I think that as it went on, they, like, strayed away further from trying to encourage that line of thinking too much, because I think they stopped wanting to, like, play into it.
They realised how quickly people were, like, jumping onto it.
Yeah, and being like, it's so obvious they did the whole time. Then back on the beach, Boone... so this is after Charlie comes and is like, we need help rescuing Jack. And Boone's like, I'm already being helpful here, but maybe I'll be helpful there as well. I want to be helpful. So, of course, he needs a replacement. So he goes to... Who? Shannon!
Boone and Shannon and Boone.
Our natural, helpful replacement.
You can actually really question Boone's commitment to sparkle motion. Boone essentially does what Kate is going to do later in the episode, which is like, be like, oh, Jack's in trouble. Oh, I better go and do something about that. And completely leaves his extremely important mission in the hands of someone who cannot be counted on to fulfill it. Which seems like a misstep for Boone. You would think he would be I mean, I guess he's like a man and he's like athletic or whatever, so he's one of the people who's like better placed to pull rocks out of the cave.
I do think that also, to give the benefit of the doubt to Boone, his task on the beach is simply to press a button to turn on the antenna. The job in the caves is to move rocks to be able to save someone's life, because Jack is trapped in there, and every second he's in there, he's losing oxygen, he might die. I can see why in Boone's brain he would be like, okay, here is just pressing a button. Shannon can press this button.
This is a job that anyone can do. Yeah.
So I can sort of see that.
It is a job that anyone could do, but it's also like, it's such an important job, and it's so important to like do it at the right time and coordinate and stuff. And like, I mean, Boone clearly has very little faith in Shannon, and to be honest, so do I. When she's receiving the instructions, she's just like, huh? And
okay, I thought this was fun though, because like, was she being serious about that? Because she was like staring off into the sky and being like, so what am I doing? And when he like explains it again, she like smiles and giggles, and I was like, I think she did understand and she knows it all, and she's like playing him because he's like over explaining to her. She's like, oh, fine then, I'm such an idiot. What did you want me to do? You think I didn't even hear that? I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely, it could be interpreted that way. I think also I did notice that Boone is terrible at explaining the actual thing that needs to be done, because he's all sort of like het up and he's like, at this time, the thing, and then the thing. And it's like, yeah, you have to be a little bit more like illustrative, but he explains it terribly. Luckily, she seems to pick it up straight away and has no problem understanding, thus proving she is good and worthy all along.
So then we go back into the jungle and Sawyer catches up with Kate and Saeed. And once again, I think this is a really fun and interesting look at Sawyer, because he doesn't say anything at all. And Kate immediately like sasses him and is confrontational with him for like...
Kate goes
for
hard.
no real reason
She's
at
just
all.
like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And it's really like, I don't know if it's just the Kate doth protest too much thing, where she's like, I simply cannot admit to myself that I'm experiencing attraction towards you, and therefore I'm going to channel my energies into rage. But it's so aggressive and unnecessary.
And you can sort of like see him internally debating how he's going to handle it, because he's like, I have come to tell you something quite important, and you think I'm just a dickhead, and you're treating me like that. And then he falls on the side of, I'm going to be petty. I'm not going to tell you, and sure, everything you're saying is correct. I'm not looking out for anyone at all. But then it's kind of counterintuitive, because he's like, sure, you're right. I'm not here to help anyone. I'm not going to do the thing. I'm going to come along with you and help.
Yeah, it's a little bit too much 4D chess for my liking. It doesn't make a huge amount of sense.
Saeed tells Sawyer to go put his antenna in a tree. He tells Kate that he doesn't trust Sawyer, and then says, I don't trust him with you. And like, why is everyone so obsessed with like treating Kate like Kate is someone who is our responsibility, instead of just like, she is a person who can do her own thing and you don't need to be looking out for her.
Oh, I interpreted it more as like they're giving us a little hint of not just a love triangle, but a love square. They're throwing Saeed into the mix. Because they'd already done this earlier when Sawyer makes the comment to Kate about like that Jack and Saeed were like fighting over her. And I was like, oh dear God, let's not make this a love square. But he continues, the show continues to do that by being like, giving Saeed a line like, I don't trust him with you, is very like romantically coded, I think.
Yeah.
And I simply cannot take any, I mean, you know me, I love Kate, marry her constantly. But the way that she's like seen as being the only sort of like interesting or appealing or attractive woman on the island is like, to be fair, there's not many women
I was gonna say,
but
if we, like in this episode especially, we don't have Claire. Claire is gone, so boom, strike her off. We literally only...
She's also heavily pregnant, which would probably strike her off for a lot of people
true.
As well.
But we literally only have Kate's son, who, as far as everyone else knows, doesn't speak English, and Shannon. So if Kate and Shannon...
And Rose.
Well, Rose, but also not in this episode, and we haven't seen her since she was just staring.
You might
at
be
the scene.
wondering... You might be wondering, does this episode pass the Bechdel test? And I'm here to tell you, no. The closest it comes is when Shannon is talking to an unnamed female character on the beach, but even then,
she's talking about
men. So
Saeed leaves them. He goes to do his own antenna. So this is where Sawyer and Kate are together. They have like not even really a heart-to-heart because Sawyer is asking why Jack makes Kate weak in the loins, which is a great question. Why, Kate?
The conversation starts off kind of like interesting from a character point of view when Sawyer's saying, oh, what is it about Jack? It's the fact that he's a doctor, right? Oh, if you give me a packet of Band-Aids and a few aspirin, I could have ruled this island. I'm paraphrasing. That's basically what he says. Yeah. And then Kate's like, are you really comparing yourself to Jack? Which is like, first of all, rude. Like, they're just two men. You know what I mean? Like, they're not... It's not that unreasonable for one man to compare himself to another man. But then Sawyer I really struggle to forgive Sawyer for this moment when he says like, oh, we're not that different. You would have figured that out eventually if
he'd have survived.
If he'd have survived. And the way that it's like, he is so cruel. It's such cruelty knowing that Kate has some kind of feelings for Jack and knowing that he's been sitting on this information and just like twisting the knife in the worst possible way to cause maximum pain. I was just like, this is a real rough one for me with Sawyer. I do not like it. And I just think it's the first time that he's really done, kind of like you were saying earlier, it's the first time he's done something that I'm like, you're a bad person, Mr. Sawyer.
So I have never been a Sawyer apologist. However,
okay, wow,
this time,
hot take coming
in fresh. Yes, I think like it was really cruel for him to do it. He dropped it at exactly the time she hit all the buttons, and yeah, it's like tedious and annoying that I assume partly it was like romantically motivated because he's like, oh, she loves the doctor and she doesn't love me. But it's also when she's like, you're comparing yourself to Jack. That I think almost similar to Charlie as like hitting this thing of like, you're not as good as someone else. And then the fact, like, it's almost like his instinct is to be like, well, if he'd have survived, you would find out he's dead. And then...
So you're saying that he was like being emotionally hurt by her comment and he just sort of lashed out?
Yeah,
with,
because
like,
then as soon as she stands up and runs off and the camera like lingers on him and he's like looking after her, but he doesn't look pleased with himself. He doesn't look like smug and happy that he's done it. He looks like sad and almost sort of like regretful. And it's almost like his instinct. I don't know, there's that famous thing that's like, you shouldn't judge people on their first response. You should judge people on their second response because it's how they feel about the way they responded to something. That like his instinct was to lash out and tell her the cruel thing. And then afterwards he was sort of like, wow, I guess I actually really hurt her and she is sad.
Yeah, interesting. I haven't heard that thing about the second response before, but it does seem like a good general piece of life wisdom to me. So... thanks for that.
That's okay. It may even have been a thing about not to judge yourself on your gut instinct to things, but because your gut instinct is shaped by lots of like is almost like inherent and subconscious, whereas your second reaction to like how you then think, oh, why did I think that thing, shows more like your progression and learning and education about yourself. So anyway, that's my interesting side takes for this episode. I'm like, oh, maybe he's not such a bad guy.
I'm hearing it. I'm going to let that marinate for a while.
So yeah, Kate runs off. She runs into the cave to go and find Jack and help him because she simply must be there with the man she loves.
What are you thinking about like the Jack-Kate dynamic overall during this episode?
I think it's quite annoying because I do think there's a world in which I could buy into it, but I'm still not over. Was it in the last episode or the one before that where they were like had this really horrible
excessive flirting?
Excessive flirtation in a way that seemed like quite uncharacteristic. If we took that out, I think I could actually kind of read that they're getting closer. But I still don't know whether I believe that Kate would abandon the triangulation mission, because I do think she's quite like mission focused.
Yeah, I agree that it seems like for Kate to sort of abandon what is quite clearly like the most important thing that she could be doing at this time in order to help them get off the island, and that she just abandons it without a second thought and leaves it in the hands of Sawyer, an extremely unreliable replacement.
I guess the other thing is maybe things might have been different if someone else had relayed the message. Like if Charlie had found her on the beach, then maybe she would have had some more like logistical questions, like, how is he? Is anyone helping him? Do we have a prognosis? What's going on?
Well, Sawyer implies to the point of basically telling her Jack is dead.
Dead. Which, to be fair, is probably reason not to go back. Well, nothing for me to do here.
No, I just think like the way that she truly just runs off and lets the whole mission potentially fail is kind of an indication. We've got to take that as an indication of like the depth of her feeling and her sort of connection to Jack. I actually agree with you that I think this would all read a little bit more nicely if they hadn't had that weird like flirting sexual tension thing going on before, because then you would be able to buy it as like, yeah, they have their connection, they've sort of found their like person on the island, and she realizes how painful it would be to lose him, kind of thing. Instead it kind of just like is a bit like, oh, here we go, love triangle.
So anyway, then Saeed lights his firework. It goes off. Boom. That's nice. As you mentioned before, Shannon is on the beach. She's chatting to this random extra about guys in Malibu. And then what I thought was really funny, I'm pretty sure this is a fact. Listeners, correct me if I'm wrong. But I think there's like a difference between pay for actors if they are simply an extra, i.e. they're just there, versus if they have any lines. I'm pretty sure as soon as you have lines, you then have to be paid more. And once you know that fact, you will not stop noticing all the unnaturally silent people in television American dramas that are just standing around, such as this woman who like raises her arm and just points into the distance.
Yeah.
But then Shannon gets up and is like, damn it, and starts like fumbling to light the firework.
She wants to do her job.
But what is the problem? The instruction was, when you see the firework, you light your firework. She sees the firework, she gets up to light her firework. She was doing exactly what she was meant to do. There's no damn it required, Shannon.
Yeah, but she wasn't like prepared. She wasn't like,
I guess, too busy talking about boys in Malibu.
Waiting for it to be... Because this was one thing I really liked about Saeed's plan, is that yes, they had to look for each other's fireworks and that's how they would coordinate the time set to turn on the things, but they also first had to wait until 5 o'clock. So it was like a very carefully constructed plan, because it like gave them the maximum opportunity to be able to react quickly and stay synced with each other. So I think maybe Shannon should feel a bit bad that she didn't have her eye on her watch. Although I don't know if Boone ever said that to her.
I think he did say 5 p.m. But I've just gone down an internal rabbit hole of being like, 5 p.m.? It's a good job they've like all got their watches and their watches are still working, so they know it's 5 p.m. And yeah, that's true. But then time zones, Helen. They've crashed somewhere between Sydney and LA, so they're presumably not in either of those time zones. And yeah, we can like roughly approximate the time zone like based on like the sunrise and sunset, and we can all sort of like agree, okay, maybe the sunrise is at like 7 a.m, but then do you have to get all 48 people on the island together and be like, okay, everyone, synchronize our watches. Now it is 7 a.m. Like,
I really like the idea that someone, and it was definitely either Jack or Saeed, came up with the concept of island time and was just like, from now on, we're going to have a unified time zone. Like, everyone change your
everyone's going to have to put like set your watches back 5 hours behind Sydney or whatever. Okay, so yeah, so Shannon lights a firework. Sawyer lights his firework. We don't see him do it, but we see the firework in the air. Lovely. So Saeed is so happy. He's jazzed. He's buzzed. Everyone's followed his plan. He gets out the transceiver. It's acquiring signal. It's receiving a signal. And then
bonk.
He's hit on the head. He's unconscious.
We hate that for Saeed. Honestly, like it really, like for as much as I was very pissed off with Sawyer and as much as I did not have faith in Shannon to complete her part of the job, when it all came together and you saw the one rocket go up and then you saw the other one, I was like, I love those little moments when like people work together, come together to like achieve things as a group. It's the same reason why I love the season 3 finale of Buffy so much. That's like my favorite Buffy episode, and it's because of that like feeling that it generates of the like the people coming together to overcome their challenges. And I heard recently that there is a specific term for that sensation. I can't remember. There is a specific term for it, and I was like, oh my god, that's me. That's why I love this shit so much.
Well, we'll keep a lookout for it. Yeah, I think that's the end of the B plot. Saeed is unconscious. Someone has knocked him out. We don't know who. We have a couple of miscellaneous things. So there's this teeny tiny scene between Sun and Jin where he's washing his wrist because obviously he's still got his handcuff on, because rather than unlock them, Michael simply axed it off. She tries to help and he just like, Mama, don't help me. And then he also yells at her and is like, what do you think you're wearing? Because she has deigned to put a vest on.
Yeah, he's like, cover yourself up. And she's like, bitch, it's hot. And we love that for Sun.
Yeah, she really is actually taking a stand against him. And it's also funny that last week we had like a slightly sympathetic episode for Jin. A little bit, in that we sort of like saw that maybe it wasn't all his fault and maybe he's a victim of his circumstances. And this week we're like, nope, back to Jin just yelling at Sun and being angry at her.
It's like you say, we got this little like hint of Jin doesn't have to be this way. He used to be another kind of guy, and now it's like, no, he's still this guy.
This is who he is. Yeah. Walt asks Michael if they can live at the caves,
which causes another moment of
significant eye contact
between Michael and Sun, who we've been flagging. I've been flagging. They have a thing. Yeah. It's here. It continues. Yeah. It's a thing.
Yeah. The last thing I have that I forgot to say is when Kate comes and gives Jack a little sling and says, I made you something. And all I could think about was you in the pilot saying, Kate does not make drapes. And I have to say, if this is Kate's sewing effort, I think I'm on your team that I don't think Kate makes drapes.
Proven right.
Although,
Kate's
to be fair, she did say she used a sewing machine for the drapes, and I'm assuming no one brought one to the plane.
She doesn't have access to one of those on the island, it would seem.
Yeah.
But also, I agree, her very makeshift sling does not speak to, this is a woman who makes her own drapes. I would have to agree with you.
She does get a sick burn-in on Jack as well, though. She says, so these are those safe caves you've been going on about.
Yeah. I mean, good for her.
Good for her.
Take the wins where you can get them.
Can I interest you in a trip to a corner filled with Connor?
Let's go to Connor's Corner. If you want aviation or medical information, welcome to Connor's Corner.
There's quite a lot to say this week, particularly about the technology. First of all, he made me pause the episode so that he could Google why a laptop would have a battery in the handle. Because Sawyer does pick up a laptop, holds it by some sort of handle, which in itself I've never seen, and pulls the battery out of the handle. So then Connor was...
2004 was a different time for laptops, okay?
Well, was it? Because then Connor was like, what year was it made? And was like, 2004, laptop battery in handle. And then he's like, nope. And then he fell into the trap that we've all fallen into and was like, lost laptop battery. And just came across a load of things for missing laptop. And he was like, well, what's the laptop they're using in Lost? Can you Google it for me? And I was like, Connor, I really don't think that this cameo of the laptop...
This isn't the right way to watch Lost. This isn't the right approach.
I don't think anyone has catalogued this laptop, I'm afraid.
Even Lost fans aren't that insane.
Yeah, but we had a good 5-minute Googling session and in the end had to simply admit that there does not appear to be any evidence of any laptops existing where the battery is placed in the handle.
Oh, man.
Anyway, then we get to the triangulation and verbatim, The technology makes no sense. They found one walkie-talkie, now he's made 3 antennas, so we're putting them in 3 locations, but they only have 1 battery, and the radio thing is completely insane. In order to triangulate it, we would need to be able to measure the signal. To do the direction finding, you get 3 antennas, and as the signal comes, you measure the signal strength, and using mathematics, you can figure out the direction. But you would do all that with them quite close together. What doesn't make sense is taking it to points that are far away, because then you'll end up getting similar strengths at each point. And I don't know what any of that means. Basically, you would not be able to triangulate with 3 antennas because the antennas would not do anything in their own right.
Sure.
Yeah. They're just using
I mean, I did get the last bit where he said that if you want to triangulate, you have to have them quite close together. Otherwise, you won't be able to tell the difference. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But I mean, the fact that this doesn't technologically make sense is simply on par with everything else that happens in this episode. See earlier comments about cave-in.
Yeah. Oh, apparently you would have needed a transceiver measuring the signal strength at each point. You wouldn't just be able to do it with antennas.
Sure.
The radios also have a 7-segment display. So the 7-segment display is like, do you know what it is?
It's the bit with the bars, right? Like
it's where it's got little bars. However, famously, when it shows the picture of the radio that says acquiring signal, it's just a digital display. And he's like, that's not the display that radio has. They photoshopped that in. I saw that eye roll. This is what I live with, Helen. This is what it would be like if you married Saeed.
Wow, I think that's pretty harsh on Saeed.
So shall we?
Yeah, I truly can't bring myself to care about this kind of thing.
Well, moving on to the medical side, the thing that actually angered him the most was the relocation of the shoulder.
Okay. Yeah, I was hoping to get a take on this.
So relocating a shoulder does not require jerky movements. You apparently want to do it incredibly slowly, keep all the muscles very relaxed. He gave me a demonstration of what you do. You place your arm at 90 degrees across your belly, and then you rotate it out away from your belly and start slowly lifting it up, and it will eventually just slide back in.
Huh. So not grab my hand and pull as hard as you can.
Not 1, 2, 3. He's also very upset that they burned the heroin because you could have used the heroin in the medical kit for some pain. But he did acknowledge that it was probably best for Charlie's state of mind if the drugs are not on the island.
That's good of him to acknowledge that. Charlie has issues, but it never even occurred to me that it would be a useful thing to have for pain relief.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, opioids were originally used.
Sure. I mean, it makes perfect sense now you say it.
Yeah. Also, Jack said they wouldn't live very long in the cave, but he reckoned you could survive a couple of days.
Oh, you mean in terms of how much they were using oxygen?
Connor's like, you could survive a couple of days in there.
Yeah, Jack was like, the rate that we're using the oxygen in here, it was like, oh, sure, because you just did that calculation, did you, Jack? Of 2 people breathing this much in this small space.
But also, I will accept that...
Classic Jack.
We don't really know, as discussed, the logistics don't really make a lot of sense, so I don't think we can really take anything on face value for what the space looked like. The only other thing to say is that I am pleased to report when Saeed was bludgeoned, he sat up and he said, "Ooh," which is, in 7 episodes, the most interest he has shown in this television show.
So it wasn't ooh, a head trauma. It was ooh, a mystery.
No, it was, ooh, I'm intrigued by this. Nice. So, yeah. That's all we've got for Connor's Corner. Would you like to discuss some hot people?
Let's do it.
Hot can be physical, hot can be emotional. Hot is whatever we decide, and everyone's attractive, but who's top of the ranking? Who's the hottest one on this island?
Who are you picking for the hot ranking this week?
So, controversial. I think, for me, the hot ranking is going to Charlie in Flashback number 1.
Okay.
When he's got his lovely corduroy jacket on and his little plaid scarf over his shirt, and he's very cute, and he, like you're saying, does seem quite regretful about his relations, and he's like, I'm in this for the music. When something goes crazy, I'm over it. I think he's very sweet and innocent and very cute.
I thank you for being honest. We We know about your Charlie thing, so
wow.
I guess I shouldn't be that surprised. I am still a bit surprised. Actually, let me look at I can be tactical here. I can look at who's already on the hot list, because you're going to be like promoting Charlie.
Wait, have I given it to Charlie before? Good for me. I think your hot ranking is probably Sun.
You know what? It's going to be a comeback for Shannon, because she defied the odds. She actually listened to what Boone was saying. She came through for the group, and so it's going to be a promotion on the hot ranking for Shannon.
Wow.
Yeah, you didn't see that coming.
I did not see that coming, but I'm very proud of my girl.
So essentially, Charlie, having gotten an extra vote, basically like whooshes him to the top, along with Sun, and I think it's only Sun who's had 2 like hot ranking votes before. Let's be real. Objectively, Sun is still hotter than Charlie. Can we agree on that?
Okay, yes, we can agree on that.
All right, so I'm going to do Sun and then Charlie. Then it goes Saeed. Oh, yeah, we have to decide how much we're moving Shannon up.
Read the whole list and I'll decide where she should go.
So this is the whole list as per last episode. Sun, Saeed, Kate, Claire, Sawyer, Charlie, Michael, Shannon, Boone. So Shannon and Boone were like placeholders at the bottom because they'd both been like moved down.
Yeah.
So we could move her back up to May. Well, I guess it would have to be like
Sawyer.
But if you're right though. If she moves up 3 spaces, then that puts her above Sawyer, and that means that Kate and Claire are still above her. I think that feels intuitively correct.
Yeah.
Yay for Shannon climbing back up the ranking. We love that for her.
We do love that for her. I'd like to see Boone climb up a bit.
Yeah, I would love to see Boone climb the ranking. Unfortunately, he's usually pretty useless. So with that, we've come to the end of the episode. Thank you for listening. If you want to reach out to us, please do. You can email us. Our email address is dharmafishbiscuitspod@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Instagram. Love that for you. We post the hot ranking and the fuck, marry, kill outcome, and general bits and bobs, memes, occasional memes.
Homemade memes.
So follow us on Instagram @dharmafishbiscuitspod.
We would also absolutely love if you could leave us a review. Speaking for myself, I would love 5 stars. We'll accept 4 stars. Anything less than that, and you can keep it to yourself. You can pop it in an email. The wider internet does not need to know. We will be back in your ears in 2 weeks' time, and we will be discussing Season 1, Episode 8, Confidence Man.
Ooh, it's a Sawyer episode.
And this has been Dharma Fish Biscuits. I'll see you in another life, Helen.
See you in another life, brother.